guys, Nick here. Welcome to my Daredevil Season 2 review. My thoughts on, clearly, Season 2 of Daredevil, the Netflix show featuring Daredevil. And to get things started, I just want to preface this by saying the first season of Daredevil was by far one of my favorite favorite seasons of any show I have ever seen. And there's so much character development, so much depth to all the characters. The villain wasn't a known villain. Charlie Cox, even now up to this point, has played an awesome Matt Murdock and an awesome Daredevil. So of course, after that awesome first season, I had unbelievably high hopes for this season. And you know what? So I just got done binge watching the entire second season. It's 4 o'clock on Saturday morning, so roughly 28 hours after the show premiered on Netflix. And this season was a bit of a letdown. It wasn't a bad season. It's just, it wasn't as story-driven as first season was. It didn't have like a central storyline that was really going on. Because first season, everything went towards Wilson Fisk. Like, everything led to that. Even like the side storyline of Karen and Foggy, and them working with Ben Ulrich, I think that's his name. They were working to figure out what's going on with Union Allied and all that stuff leading up to Wilson Fisk. And of course, Daredevil was going after Wilson Fisk himself. This season, they made it seem like Punisher was going to be, the Punisher in the Hand were going to be like the Fisk of this season. And it started out that way. The first few episodes, I gotta say, were freaking incredible. And I gotta say, John Bernthal is an amazing Punisher. He killed it in this role in this season. I honestly kind of hope Netflix gives him his own show. More than likely, because everyone has been raving about Punisher ever since the show premiered. And even before that, everyone was like, he looks badass, he looks awesome. And he was awesome, he was incredible. Especially the relationship and the dichotomy he has with Matt Murdock, and just seeing the banter they play off of each other, especially in episode 3, when they're on that rooftop the entire time, and they're just conflicting their ideologies, and just like, and a Punisher saying, you know, you're just like one bad day away from being me, and all that stuff, and he's just like that whole thing is just so much I love about that, like that beginning part of the season. And it's funny because like I read like critic reviews about the season, and they said the first half of the season was underwhelming. I'm just like, no, in my opinion, I think the first half of the season was better than the second half of the season. And to me, the second half of the season was where things started to just kind of drift off, because like after, you know, they beat the Punisher pretty much like within like the first few episodes, cause so he's not gonna be like the main antagonist of the season. He's more of like a secondary character. So I was like, oh, well, okay then. And then they introduced Electro, which was awesome. I think the actress' name was like Elodie Young. And she was actually one of the actresses up to play Wonder Woman for Batman vs. Superman. And Electro was freaking awesome. Way better than the Jennifer Garner version. Again, another character, just like so much depth to her. She's such a badass. And it's just, these characters have been done right so well. And now they're not being held, they're not like in their own movies. I mean, they have like the range with this 13 episode season to develop these characters, to flesh out these characters, and to go and take darker paths with these characters than a movie would have. And that's nothing too about this season. This season's way more brutal. They show decapitation, they show a lot more blood, a lot more gore, just a lot more violence in general. And you're just like, God damn, like if it can't be anywhere else other than Netflix. And I think that's where it works best, because Daredevil as a character, they can do PG-13 stuff with him, but the way they handle it in this show, just they're going for that almost it's basically rated R. Going for that R kind of vibe of it, and just going the dark and grittiness of it, and it's just, I liked that about the show. I mean, I don't like everything that's dark and gritty, because we've seen it success in The Dark Knight, and we've seen it fail with like seasons 3 and 4 of DC's Arrow. And I don't know, I just like the tone of this season I thought really worked. And I'm just going back and forth with the things I liked and didn't like. So to go back and kind of what I was saying earlier. Okay, so they got rid of Punisher, like, and they had to do the whole trial thing, and then Elektra was introduced, and I liked seeing Elektra and her banter and her back and forth relationship with Matt, and seeing their relationship even from like 10 years prior, and then in the last couple episodes seeing more of Elektra's backstory when she was trained by Stick, and seeing Stick again was freaking awesome, because he was a character, like, I was so mad that he was a one and done character, and the way he just, like, he fucking straight up killed the guy. Excuse my language. He straight up killed that one guy in the last episode. And he just straight up decapitates him. I'm just like, holy crap! Like Stick is a badass. Like he is pretty much every character from the comics in the show is a badass. Well, I mean, like hero or like anti-hero kind of character. So to me, like one of the big, like I feel like I keep like changing the topic, but I think the biggest issue of this season is just that there's no central villain. Like they make it seem like, oh, Punisher might be it, but oh, not really. And then the Hand is kind of it, not really. And then it's like, oh, maybe Elektra. You don't know. You don't really know what's going on. And one of the better bits of the season was when they brought back Wilson Fisk for a few episodes. I wasn't expecting at all. Unfortunately, I had it spoiled for me because I read a review where they spoiled it, but that was my own fault. But even then, I was still surprised the fact that they even brought Vincent D'Onofrio back. Because most TV shows, like once they defeat the main villain of the season, it's just like, oh, it's kind of one and done, like goodbye, like we're not gonna see you again. So seeing Wilson Fisk finally started to become more of like the kingpin role, even in prison, and that we're definitely not done with him. I hope that they bring him back for third season. They're probably not, because I don't want to do a retread of first season, but they have to bring him back at some point, because that is that is Daredevil's big bad right there. So they have to bring him back at some point. And again, seeing him back in the show was such a highlight, especially like it was like a midpoint in the season where I'm just like, okay, I mean, like I'm buying it so far. Like it's seeing Wilson Fisk again, and I don't know, it just felt the season. Well, again, here, so I have like all the notes I took here of the show. So I'm just gonna like go quickly through all the stuff that I liked. I like seeing the Nelson and Murdoch in the beginning of the season, seeing the growth of their law firm, especially since it was really just barely established at the end of first season. I liked seeing that. It didn't seem where it ended up. Like, or basically they're completely starting over at the end of the season. So, or it looks like it's broken apart really. And the Daredevil suit itself is growing on me, and I liked how like after Punisher like shot him like point blank in the head. When they upgraded the suit and they gave him like the red eyes. I don't know if he had that to begin with, because they kind of like they hid like that part of the mask a bit because it was like really dark, and they fixed it and they showed a lot more of his mask with the red eyes. The suit really grew on me. I mean, I even have like the Daredevil pop. I mean, I'm not gonna bring it down because like, time, but the suit really has grown on me. And like I loved that first initial all black suit. That was I thought was really well done. I mean, like, I knew because like that black outfit was from the comics, but even then I'm just like, I like it like a lot. So I was a little disappointed by the end of the first season. I mean, I was expecting the suit, and when they revealed the suit, I was like, ugh, like I'm not sure how I feel about it. But after seeing it in action, and especially throughout this entire season, seeing him in the suit, it's really grown on me, and I like that a lot. One of the main characters in the show, Foggy, was a character that the entire first season I was on the fence about. In the first few episodes, I flat out hated Foggy. But I think he had the biggest character development in this season. And every action he took and reaction he had to Matt's actions, and the way that Matt treated him this season, like Matt was a dick to his friends this season. Like he was really like, granted he had stuff going on as Daredevil, but just the way he treated his friends, like I sympathize with Foggy. Like I like how he stepped up to the plate and he proved himself like as a lawyer, as a friend, and he just overall became such a like very well developed character. And even then, and like he went from a character that I hated at first, like now he's like one of my favorite auxiliary characters who's not like a vigilante or anti-hero or whatever. And I gotta say, every single fight scene that they had with the Punisher was flat out badass. I really wish they used him more in the finale, because there's this big build up, and then in the second last episode you see him like about to like make the Punisher suit, and we barely see at the end where he's like on the building far away, like sniping the dude. It's like really like he's not gonna be like part of the fight, like really, like you have this like big build up Punisher and you barely use him at the end, like really. That was another big disappointment I had. But besides that, the fight scenes, I fucking love the fight scenes. I love the fight scenes. I love the fight choreography in this entire season. and just feel like the raw power of Punisher, seeing how brutal he's gonna be. Like, he'll take like a knife and like stab a person like in the eye, like he'll like nearly decapitate him. He'll do all this like gory and like super violent shit, and it's just like, as a fan, I'm like, like I'm at a loss of words. Like, seriously, like that's how it is for me while I'm watching that. Let's see what else. And I like how Karen was developed in this season as well. She was a character, again, I was on the fence about at first. She eventually grew on me in this season. Yeah, there were times where I didn't like how far she was going with the whole Frank thing, and just, I don't know. I liked how she knew there was something up with Matt and that she wasn't dumb. And I liked her eventually becoming a reporter and essentially taking Ben Ulrich's spot at that newspaper. And I liked her relationship with that newspaper editor and how eventually she just became part of the team there. I liked seeing that aspect of the character. I didn't like her so much in the whole her and Punisher thing. I really could have gone without that. Again, the whole third episode, that entire episode was just amazing. And I love the fact that like they finally after Jessica Jones came out this past November, there's a lot of Jessica Jones stuff in this show. Like, the DA is the same DA, obviously, because it's Hell's Kitchen. The same DA from Jessica Jones came into this season. Jessica Jones, in fact, was just name dropped. She didn't appear, unfortunately. But even then, in the very, I think it was the last episode when Foggy had the interview with one of Jessica's allies and Jerry Hogarth, I think that's her name, Carrie Ann Moss's character, who's from The Matrix, and seeing her there, that was pretty cool. And even give a subtle hint to Luke Cage, eventually leading to at the end of the season to have a little 30-second teaser teasing the Luke Cage show where he was in this boxing ring place and everyone's trying to shoot him, and he's like, guys, I'm really getting tired of buying new clothes. And I'm so excited for Luke Cage. That looks awesome. Besides the point, but I like all the name drops. It's just feeling like knowing that it is a connected universe, especially with the Netflix shows, because the one thing I wish they could do a little more of is referencing more of what's going on in the Avengers world, because this is all part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, technically. But they really, because I feel like it's probably a reaction to how negatively people reacted to how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did the referencing. Because they do the references every 5 minutes on that show. So, and a lot of fans had problems with that, so they probably toned it back a lot for Daredevil. Understandably so. But sometimes I want to be like, can they just name drop Captain America at least once? Just please, just at least once. And they don't, and I understand why, but that's just me being me. What else? Just going on a lot of stuff I've already covered. Seeing Clancy Brown, I feel like he has to be a bad guy in everything. He's a bad guy in Flash. He's a bad guy in this. He's a bad guy in the DC animated universe as Lex Luthor. He's been a bad guy in so many things. It's okay, dude, I'm not surprised at this point. And when they had him on trial and they're doing that, when they're when he was testifying, talking about Frank, and it's just I knew he was gonna be bad, and then of course that big turn in the second to last episode, I'm ooh, shocker! I'm not surprised at all. Again, Fisk coming back. Sorry, I'm just going over what I wrote down. Oh my god, one of my favorite scenes in the entire season was when Matt straight up went to the prison to talk to Fisk, and he fucking he did not believe Fisk's bullshit. He went straight up at him. And the Fisk beats the shit out of him. But seeing that relationship, that's one of my favorite things about the show, was that dichotomy and that relationship, and seeing it fleshed out. Even when Fisk isn't even the main villain of the season, I absolutely loved that scene, how it was handled, and I just, that's why we need Fisk back. He was a way better villain than what we got this season. Yeah, other than that, I feel like I've been rambling. I've been talking for almost 15 minutes, but, I've already talked about my problems with this season. It's really just an underwhelming season. Not a bad season. I would probably say I would give this season a solid 8. 8 out of 10. I normally don't rate stuff anymore because I don't necessarily like giving ratings. But in my mind, this season was a bit of a disappointment. Not a bad season. It's just season 1 was a 9 for me. Almost a 9.5. I had almost no problems with that show except for Foggy at first, but eventually that changed. But this season, I feel like there's just kind of too many things going on at once to make it feel like one cohesive story, and because it really wasn't. But there's again a lot that I did really enjoy about the season. I loved seeing John Bernthal as the Punisher. I hope he gets his own series. I loved seeing Elektra. I'm pissed that they killed her off. And it's just I don't know. I'm just mad because they killed off Elektra in the original Daredevil movie, and it's like the second season of the show where they introduce like the new rebooted Elektra, and you kill her off again. Well, supposedly kill her off because now she's in that weird Asian tube thing for the hand. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I loved how the characters were developed in this season for the most part. It's just the story as a whole. That was the disappointing part of the season. But I'm still excited for season 3. Of course, the show again, like I said, it just wasn't a bad season. It's just disappointing. So yeah, with that being said, I think that's gonna be it for me. I mean, I've been talking long enough. So yeah, that's gonna be it. So if you guys like what you see here, go ahead and hit subscribe below. I do review a bunch of different superhero shows, and they're all on my channel. I reviewed the first season of Daredevil last year. I've reviewed Jessica Jones. I reviewed a bunch of DC shows, and actually on Tuesday, I'm so excited. I won advanced screening tickets to see Batman vs Superman. I see it 2 days early, and I will have a spoiler-free review up on my channel that night. So you guys want to check that out. And give this video a thumbs up. What did you guys think of the season? Was it disappointing for you? Did you guys like it a lot more? Let me know. Let me know in the comment section below. So yeah, again, that's gonna be it for me. So until next time, guys, have a good one.